You should y'all speak loud and clear when you get there.
Good morning.
Good morning, y'all.
Who was the inmate that needed an interpreter?
He's gonna be on the male side.
Mr. Morales.
Morales. Oh, I thought he was bonding out.
Yeah, he has an ice hole.
I don't think I even have it. Yeah, they didn't even send me his paperwork. They said he had bonded out.
Yeah, we checked. They say he has an ice hole.
Okay. Well, I guess intake is gonna have to send me his paperwork then.
Okay.
All right. All right, so we can get started.
All righty.
All right, would everyone please raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm that the information that you tell the court would be the truth? If so, say I do, and you can lower your hands.
I do.
All right, thank you. You can have a seat. This is your first appearance in Clayton County Magistrate Court. I'm Judge Bando. We're not here to have a trial in your case or to take a plea or to have any type of resolution. I'm here to inform you what you've been charged with, what the charges are alleged to have been, advise you of what your rights are, and let you know what your bond amount is if you have a bond that's been set. I'll also schedule a preliminary hearing if you request one, and also we'll make a determination of whether you qualify for an attorney. You have a right to remain silent. You don't have to say anything at all. You also have a right to presumption of innocence, a right to an indictment by grand jury for certain felonies, an accusation on misdemeanors. You have a right to a speedy and public trial. You have a right to question witnesses that are called to testify against you. You have a right to compel witnesses to testify on your behalf. You have a right to testify on your own behalf, and you have a right to have an attorney represent you. Some of you will be allowed to post unrestricted bonds, meaning you can either go through a bonding company, which takes about 15% of what your total bond amount is. That's what they charge to actually make the bond, and you don't get those fees back. Or you can post your bond through cash bond directly through the sheriff's office. Once the case is over, you get the cash back minus some administrative fees. Or you can use real estate. If you have equity in your property, that's 3 times the amount of what your bond amount is. You can use that property to secure your release from custody. Some of you, well, actually quite a few of you will have special conditions on your bond, which will require you and prohibit you from contacting a certain person and returning to a certain location. If you violate the court's order and you have contact with a person who have asked you not to have contact with, or you return to a location that I've asked you not to return to, your bond can be revoked and you can stay in custody until your trial date. And you also can be charged with aggravating stalking, which you are not entitled to a bond, and you would get an additional felony charge. If someone is listed as the victim in your case, that person will not be allowed to post the bond. The next thing that you need to pay close attention to, because you all will have to make this decision, is about whether you would like to maintain your preliminary hearing date. If you make your bond, if you have a bond set on your case, you will not have to come back to court on a preliminary hearing date. You will get notice in the mail when to come back to court. If you're unable to make your bond and you're charged with a felony, your preliminary hearing date is on August the 11th. If you're charged with misdemeanors only, your preliminary hearing date will be August the 10th. What a preliminary hearing is a hearing that where the state has to prove that it's probable that you have committed the crimes that they are alleging that you have committed. It's a low burden. All they have to prove is that it's probable that it happened as alleged. So if you decide you want to keep your preliminary hearing date, just keep those dates in mind. If you make your bond, you won't have those court dates. They'll send you notice when to come back to court. If you're unsure of what to do, keep your preliminary hearing date, speak with an attorney because you can always waive it at a later date. With that being said, we'll get started with the females. The first person is Ms. Castillo. Ms. Castillo, you've been charged with battery and criminal trespass. The bond amount on a battery is $3,000. Criminal trespass is $2,000. You have special conditions that require you not to have contact with Eugene Corey. You cannot return to 943 Magistrate Lane in Morrow, Georgia. You have 10 days from your release for custody. Make an appointment with the sheriff's office to retrieve any undisputed personal property. Do you understand the conditions of your bond?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Did you want to keep your preliminary hearing or would you like to waive it?
I'm gonna keep it.
All right. So the court date will be on August the 10th. And based on your application, I've appointed an attorney to represent you. Do you have any questions?
No, ma'am.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hankins? Ms. Hankins, you've been charged with criminal trespass. Your bond is $2,000. You have no contact with James West. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
You want to keep your preliminary hearing or do you want to waive it?
I'm gonna keep it.
It'll be August the 10th. And based on your application, I've appointed an attorney to represent you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Howard?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Ms. Howard, you've been charged with battery. That bond is $5,000. Disorderly conduct is $1,500. You have special conditions. You can't have any contact with Terry Bernard Howard. You cannot return to 8340 Mountain Pass in Riverdale, Georgia. You have 10 days from your release of custody to go with the sheriff to retrieve any undisputed personal property. Do you understand the conditions of your bond at this time?
Yes, I do.
All right. Did you want to keep your preliminary hearing or did you want to waive it?
I'll keep it.
All right, it'll be set for August the 10th. And based on your application, I've appointed an attorney to represent you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Can I say something to you?
What's your question?
Excuse me?
Yeah, go ahead. What do you have to say?
My father just died the 10th, and that house is my house. I bought the house. I don't live here. I'm from Philadelphia, and I'm the only child. I don't have family here.
Okay, so Ms. Howard, I've appointed an attorney to represent you. So I'm not saying that what you're saying is not true, but as I'm sitting here, I don't have any information at all. So you need to contact your attorney and they'll contact us to change the condition so that you can return back to that location. But because I don't have nobody's here, no prosecutors, no nothing. Unfortunately, I can't change it at this time, but it can be changed. So as soon as you get out, contact your attorney so they can get those conditions changed.
Can I get a reduced bond?
No, ma'am, not based on the allegations and the history.
That's 15 and 1,000.
So it's 6,500. So it's probably about 700 to 7 something to get out through a bonding company.
Okay, thank you.
All right, you're welcome. Ms. Kent?
Yes.
All right, Ms. Kent, you've been charged with aggravated assault. Your bond has been denied. Based on your application, I've appointed an attorney to represent you. Do you want to keep your preliminary hearing or would you like to waive it?
I like to waive it.
You want to waive it? So make sure you fill out the waiver form that they have and make sure I can understand your handwriting. All right, thank you, ma'am.
Just stand by, I get it for you. Come on.
Ms. Long,
Yes, ma'am.
just a minute. All right, Ms. Long, you've been charged with battery. Your bond is 3,000, simple battery is 2,000, obstructing or hindering a 911 call is 2,000, violation of Georgia Controlled Substance Act is 1,000. So your total bond is $8,000. You have special conditions to not have contact with Tammy Ford. You cannot return to 4112 Fleetwood Trail in Jonesboro. You have 10 days from your release to custody, retrieve any undisputed personal property. Do you understand the conditions of your bond?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, did you want to keep your preliminary hearing or would you like to waive it?
Like the waiver.
Okay. Complete the form for the waiver. Make sure I can understand your handwriting. And based on your application, I've appointed an attorney to represent you.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Can I get a bond reduction?
Not at this time.
Okay, thank you.
Just stand back at the form for you, okay? Sorry. No, come on.
Simpson? Ms. Simpson, you've been charged with battery. Your bond is set at $4,000. You can't have any contact with Talesia Wright. You cannot return to 5420 Riverdale Road, apartment C2 in Riverdale, Georgia. Do you understand the conditions of your bond?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you want to keep?
Oh, sorry, I had a question. 5420 Riverdale Road, that's where I live. That's my grandma's house. I don't have nowhere to go, so.
So did you hear what I just told the other lady that said the same thing?
No, ma'am, can you repeat it, please?
Sure. So as I'm sitting here, there's nobody here there's no lawyers here, nobody here to tell me anything differently. So I've appointed an attorney to represent you, you'll have to contact them so they can change that condition. Because based on the allegations, I can't change it until I know anything differently. So like if your grandmother says that you can come back, they'll come here and they'll change it so that you can come back.
Yes,
But
ma'am.
she's gonna have to do that. She's gonna have to contact the solicitor's office so that you can go back to that location.
Okay, yes, ma'am.
All right, so you want to waive your hearing or did you want to keep it?
I can waive it.
All right. Make sure you fill out the form and I can understand your handwriting so that I know that you're waiving.
Excuse me, ma'am, can you say my bond one more time, please?
It's $4,000. All right, thank you.
Just stand by right now and get you the form. That's it for the females, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am, no, man, hands on your back.
Y'all, you ready for the first mail?
Yes, sir. It should be Mr. Barry.
Mr. Barry?
Yeah.
Yep, stand right here. Here is Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Barry, you've been charged with aggravated assault. Your bond is $40,000 and simple battery is $10,000. You have special conditions. You cannot have contact with Ibrahim Ba. You cannot go back to 5724 Riverdale Road in Riverdale, Georgia. You're allowed to go back to get any undisputed personal property within 10 days from your release. Do you understand the conditions of your bond? What don't you understand, Mr. Barry?
How much I have to pay?
You probably have to pay between $5,000 and $6,000 through a bonding company.
Mhm.
You want to keep your preliminary hearing or did you want to waive? If you don't understand what you're doing, we'll keep it. It'll be on August the 11th. You can always waive it later. And I've appointed an attorney to represent you, sir. Thank you.
What you roll? Next person.
Mr. Bullock,
Yes, ma'am.
Yep.
Yes, ma'am.
all right, one moment. All right, Mr. Bullock, you've been charged with simple battery, family violence. The bond is $5,000, criminal damage in the second degree is $2,500. Obstructing and hindering a telephone 911 call is $2,500. So your total bond is $10,000. You have special conditions. You can't have any contact with Zariana Jones. You can't go back to 1466 C5 Rock Cut Road in Forest Park, Georgia. If you have property there, You can go back with the sheriff within 10 days from your release to retrieve anything that's undisputed. Do you understand your conditions of the bond? You want to keep your preliminary hearing, or did you want to waive it?
Waive it.
It'll be on. It'll be on August the 11th. I appointed you an attorney based on your application. Do you have any questions?
No,
You
ma'am.
said no? Okay, all right, thank you.
What's your name?
James Clark.
One moment. All right, you, Mr. Clark?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Clark, you've been charged with battery. Your bond is $5,000. You have special conditions to not have contact with Deanna Jones. You can't go back to 1698 Old Dogwood in Jonesboro. You have 10 days from your release from custody to retrieve any undisputed personal property that may be at that location. Do you understand the conditions of your bond? Do you want to keep your preliminary hearing, or did you want to waive it?
Waive it.
Okay, make sure you sign the form and I can understand your handwriting. Based on your application, I've appointed an attorney to represent you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Cox.
All right, Mr. Cox, you've been charged with simple assault. Your bond is $2,000. You can't have any contact with Tamiko Persuade. Do you understand that, sir? You want to keep your preliminary hearing, or do you want to waive it?
I don't understand. I have to return. I have two charges, simple matter.
It's simple assault.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so your hearing will be on August the 10th. Based on your application, you're not working, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, I've appointed an attorney to represent you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, bud. Check in the medical. That's where it came. What's your name?
Timothy Green.
Hey, Mr. Green.
Yes.
Mr. Green, you've been charged with battery, family violence. Your bond is $3,000. You can't have any contact with Maria Barrios Green. Do you understand that, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you want to keep your preliminary hearing, or would you like to waive it?
Keep it.
It'll be on August the 10th. If you make your bond, you won't have that court date. They'll send you notice when it come back to court. Based on your application, I've appointed an attorney to represent you.
Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. Thank you.
What's your name? What's your name? Say it loud.
Princess Pam.
All right, Mr. Hume, you've been charged with aggravated assault. That bond has been denied. You can't have any contact with Letitia Greer. Did you want to keep your preliminary hearing, or you want to waive it?
I want to keep it.
It'll be on August the 11th. Based on your application, I've appointed an attorney to represent you. Do you have any questions?
That's my only charge.
You said what?
And that's my only charge.
No, you have simple assault. The bond is $40,000 on that. So you have two charges. All right, thank you.
What's your name? Say your name.
Are you Mr. Harvey?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Harvey, you've been charged with several counts. Battery, family violence is $5,000. Cruelty to children is $3,000. Criminal damage in the second degree is $1,000. Another battery, family violence is 5,000. Cruelty to children in the first degree is 5,000. So your total bond is $19,000. You have special conditions to not have contact with Brittany Harvey and Bridget Lewis. You can't return to 2793 Star Road tomorrow. You have 10 days from your release for custody to make an appointment to retrieve undisputed personal property. Do you understand the conditions of your bond?
Yes,
You said
ma'am.
yes.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. You want to keep your preliminary hearing or do you want to waive?
I keep.
It's on August the 11th. Based on your application, I've appointed an attorney to represent you.
Yes,
Thank
ma'am.
you.
Well, Justin Johnson.
Justin Johnson?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Johnson, you've been charged with criminal damage to property in the first degree. That bond is 3,000. Theft by taking is 2,000. Battery, family violence is 3,000. Criminal damage in the second degree is 3,000. You have special conditions to not have any contact with Kiara Link. You can't go back to 5801 Riverdale Road, apartment 44D in Riverdale. You have 10 days from your release from custody to make an appointment with the sheriff's office to retrieve any undisputed personal property. Do you understand the conditions of your bond?
Yes, ma'am. Could you tell me the total amount?
Your total bond is $11,000.
Okay,
You want to keep your preliminary hearing or did you want to wait?
I'll keep it.
It'll be on August the 11th. Based on your application, I've appointed an attorney to represent you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jamon Johnson.
You said it was Jamon Johnson?
Jamon Johnson.
Okay. Mr. Johnson, go, I'm gonna call you at a minute. I gotta fix your paperwork, so just go back.
Your Honor, do you still need to see Mr. Morales or is he free to go?
I don't even have it. They didn't send his paperwork over, so I don't have it.
Okay.
You have Mr. Mosley?
Yes, he comes.
Where's my room?
Oh, there we go. Mr. Mosley, you've been charged with possession of marijuana less than 1 ounce. The bond is $2,500. Driving with a suspended license is $1,500. Defective equipment is $250. Theft by receiving stolen property is $3,000. Your total bond is $7,250. You want to waive or you want to keep your preliminary hearing?
I wait.
Okay. Make sure you sign the paperwork and I can understand your handwriting. Based on your application, I've appointed an attorney to represent you. All right, thank you. Mr. Johnson, Jamon, you can come back. All right, Mr. Jamon Johnson, right?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you've been charged with battery. The bond is $5,000. Cruelty to children in the third degree is $2,000. So your total bond is $7,000. You can't have any contact with Tatiana Harrell. You can't return to 5784 Rex Ridge Loop in Rex, Georgia. You have 10 days when you're released from custody to retrieve any undisputed personal property. Do you understand the conditions of your bond?
Yes, ma'am.
You want to keep your preliminary hearing or did you want to waive it?
I'm gonna keep. Yes, ma'am. I can keep. Yes, ma'am.
All right, it will be August the 10th. And based on this application, I've appointed an attorney to represent you.
All right,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Taking that.
Blessed morning, Your Honor. My name is Ricardo Sheets.
Okay. All right, Mr. Sheets, you've been charged with DUI, alcohol less safe. Their bond is $5,000. Improper lane change is $500. Too fast risk conditions is $500. So your total bond is $6,000. You want to keep your preliminary hearing or would you like to waive it?
Keep it.
It will be on August the 10th. What's your average that you make a month?
Roughly about 2,400.
Okay, I've appointed an attorney to represent you based on that information. Did you have any questions?
No, ma'am.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
UD, Kira?
I'm sorry, what's your name?
UD, Kira?
Okay. You've been charged with simple assault. The bond is $1,000. Criminal trespass is $1,000. Your total bond is $2,000. You can't have any contact with Otisis Yukiwo. You understand that, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you want to keep your preliminary hearing or did you want to waive it?
Keep it.
It will be on August the 10th. How much do you average a month at work?
I make 50 cents a week.
No, I know. What's the average that you make a month?
Sometimes 24, sometimes 30, depends on how I work.
Okay, I've appointed an attorney to represent you. Do you have any questions?
No, ma'am.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning, Mr. Williams.
Marco Williams.
Okay. All right, Mr. Williams, you've been charged with battery. That bond is $3,000. Criminal trespass is $2,000. You can't have any contact with Ronald Strickland. You can't return to 5996 Green Meadow Way in Rex, Georgia, and you have 10 days when you're released from custody to go with the sheriff to retrieve any undisputed personal property. Do you understand the conditions of your bond?
Understood, yes, ma'am.
You want it? I'm sorry, you said yes?
I said understood, yes, ma'am.
Okay. Did you want to keep your preliminary hearing or did you want to waive it?
Yes, I'll keep it.
You said keep it or waive it?
Yes, I'll keep it.
Okay, it'll be on August the 10th. And if you make your bond, you won't have to come back on that date. They'll mail you notice when it come back. Based on this application, I've appointed an attorney to represent you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
That is all, Your Honor.
So, Morales.
Did you need him back?
No, I don't need him. They didn't even send the paperwork for him.
Paperwork over for
No.
him? Okay.
Did he actually make his bond? Because they said he made his bond.
Yeah, they said he paid, somebody came last night. Yeah, but he has a hold, he paid
Oh,
it. He's got-
but then if he made his bond, he don't have to come to first appearance. He just have to wait on ice.
Yeah, we didn't find out until he told me this morning.
Okay, all right, well, take care.
All righty.
All right, bye-bye.
Right.